Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Mind Heist, episode 200 and something. So, Muhammad, we had a good episode, a popular episode last time. There was a lot of praise for it, etc. Talking about sensitive topics, perhaps. What was the feedback that you heard? Was there anything, any critiques, any things people seem to agree with a lot, or?
Yeah. I think it's a tough one, because there's clearly like two camps. There's and you've got to have a balanced approach, because I think some people's content is all of that. Is all of either side. Even you've got the side which is just constantly talking about polygamy and women, and just constantly talking about women, and women are this, women are that, and this is how you control a woman, and this is how you make her obedient to you, and this blah 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 blah. And rarely, like, I don't know, man. When I learn about a topic, I want to learn about the source from the source, And then the other side is like, I've noticed, like, there's a lot of critique of Dawa bros at the moment for all sorts of reasons. But some people's entire content, that they're putting out there is also just that. It's just, and it's like, okay, I think you're also like, you're bordering the pick me, the pick me people. It's like, oh, I'm not like that guy. I'm I'm great. So I think.
Okay, so there are actually men critiquing the Dawa.
Yes, 100%. And I can see that, like, and I think that's where stepping into this arena, you get a bit. People box people into categories, like I could that a clip from that video could go viral, and someone could say, "Oh, what a simpish thing to say," but there's never any context behind someone's entire, personality, someone's entire like.
Their whole life, their whole
we actually
entirety of the advice they give.
Funnily enough, because of that clip that I found of you on that Nikah Instagram page, I went back. I was, where's that episode from? And I realized it was actually an episode we did not too long ago about polygamy, and somebody asked a question, and I was like, oh, I wonder how if my views have changed. Like, if you were to watch that podcast episode and the one we did yesterday, like, is there anything I've said that conflicts? Because I know for a fact, and I'm sure it's the same for you, if you were to go back to like 2017 when we started this, and like, obviously,
that's a long time.
Almost 10 years now, and you were to just listen to a random topic and then try and find something, or even just think about it, how different our views are. Maybe now. I know certainly I've had a lot of shifts in perspective. So what do you think? Anybody?
I guess when you get older, like in general, when you get older, you just like become less passionate about your opinions. Maybe it doesn't happen to everyone, but I think I knew this theoretically back then, but I think I've just absorbed it more as time has gone on, that my opinion actually doesn't change anything in the world. My actions could, if I work hard and if Allah gives me the success, but like my opinion doesn't matter to that level where I have to like shout and like really defend it. And it's kind of like the whole thing of like, look, Islam will like dominate regardless of you who's doing dawah, or regardless of you who's commenting on a YouTube thing, or what. It's like Islam and Allah doesn't need you. It's just whether you're privileged enough to be the messenger of that thing. And when you're in that position, you basically get humbled, and you're just like, try. Like, that's why whatever kind of side of, like you said, the like kind of two sides, whatever side I'm taking, because sometimes I end up taking like both sides or whatever. Like, no one's like opposite opinion would faze me that much, because I kind of see both sides, and I'm kind of just like, this is practical for this situation, this is practical for that situation. I empathize with the men who feel like women are X, Y, Z these days, and I empathize with the women who feel like men are X, Y, Z these days. And we were specifically speaking last episode about the situation, a specific situation, Yanni, where a man is seeking another wife as an escape, and maybe the polygyny episode that you talked about, it was more of a general discussion on polygyny. And I remember discussing polygyny as a solution to some of the issues that we have in society in terms of sisters not getting married, sisters becoming older, not getting married, struggling to get married, maybe the higher rate of divorce than in the past, and the stigma attached to divorce, all of this stuff. And so, one, it's just context. It's not the person. It's not that I'm in camp polygamy. I'm in camp this, right? It's just whatever we interpret to be of the most benefit, and whatever's in line with the Sharia, according to our understanding. Obviously, sometimes limited understanding. That's what it is, bro. Yeah. And I think that's like the mature, non-viral version of this whole stuff.
There's the bare minimum of actions, and then there's the ihsan of things as well. And I think that's very important. And I think that's why we spoke a lot about the secret thing, because I think for a lot of guys, like, the secretive approach is the bare minimum, and it's the easiest route, and it's the most like, I can.
It's like the whole technically halal kind of thing.
And did I do that? Did I jump on that humanity thing after we did the episode? I think so.
Yeah.
And just in that, it was interesting to hear some very wild stories I hadn't come across at the beginning of that. If you go on my Twitter, for the listeners, they can find it somewhere, or search on YouTube. It's like secret marriages, blah blah blah. It was like an open mic discussion, but yeah, there was like some. I think it was Kamel and Mekki, the first speaker. He wasn't there; it was just a recording. But first speaker was him sharing a story of some da'i or some sheikh or someone who was like, he knew him. And he was just like a habitual marrier, divorcer kind of guy, and to the extent like he would plant, allegedly, obviously we don't know who he is and how true it is, but he would plant fake questions into the audience. When they scrunch up a piece of paper, it's like, a question from the sisters: would you ever want a second wife?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I've been making Mind Heist for such a long time. I've been doing online business for like 7-8 years. And I've been helping a lot of people start online businesses. And there's one thing that I know for sure, right? There are a few truths in life: death, taxes, and this is the third one. The third one is that the biggest barrier to starting an online business is implementation. And so many brothers, like over 80% of the brothers that I know who have jobs, they want an online business, or at least some sort of online freelance career. They want that so badly, whether it's just to supplement their income, to do hijrah, whatever it is. The problem is implementation. They just don't implement. They don't have the clarity. They don't have the confidence. They don't have they procrastinate too much. And so the enemy of starting a business in 2026 is not information. That is so widely available right now. It's almost like not even worth paying for it anymore in the form of a course. There are so many good YouTube videos, so many good podcasts, books, ChatGPT, whatever, that will guide you through step by step. But you know what's missing? You just taking action on it. You procrastinate, you waste time, you get distracted, you lack focus, you start and stop. So I've created the solution to that. It's called the Front Row Launch, and I'm launching it now, basically. It's only available for a few weeks to get a feel of how many people are actually interested and serious about it. It's not for people who need hand holding, or people that are not motivated enough. They need no, it's if you're serious, you're motivated, you're committed, but you just need help staying consistent with it, help with a little bit of guidance. This is going to be for you. So if you're interested in that, then check the link in the description. We're launching it right now. It won't be available forever, because I just want to see in this short period of time how many people actually show interest in it. And we will launch it using a system that I've created that gets you to take action. So check out the link in the description, and I'll see you inside, inshallah.
Like getting the news out there sort of thing. Yeah, no, that's the allegation. Obviously we don't know who and what, but I think there's a balance. I think, look, just to be ignorant and say this stuff doesn't exist and it's not causing harm, I think that's really shallow. And I think the people that get really offended are people that either aspire to or have dabbled in that stuff and take it personally. And like you just said about opinions changing and not really caring, like that's when we don't care the most, is when it doesn't really affect us. It doesn't hit a nerve. The shoe doesn't fit, so to speak. Like, oh yeah, well, okay, you can have that view. Have a great day. But when it's like something about you, like, oh, I've got this gripe with Algerians who used to live in Turkey. Oh, dude. And then suddenly you might feel something, something like that. But yeah, you're right. Like it's fascinating, isn't it? Going back to looking at those old episodes, dude, there was like times where you just thought, this opinion I have is never changing. Like this is it. I can't imagine me thinking another way. And there's so many things I've been flexible with ever since, my early whatever you want to call it, 20s or whatever.
Yeah. I think one thing that has suffered a lot over the last, maybe 30 years or something, is probably mostly in Western society, is that men, either they're no longer raised this way or they just became this way or whatever. They don't seem to look at women as people they have to kind of protect anymore. They look at them more like equals, I suppose, and that's what the feminist movement was supposed to do. And I don't mean, obviously, look at them as equals in terms of their value or anything. I mean, they look at them as kind of like another man, right? Where they don't pull punches. They don't have like, what's that word again? Chivalry. There's no chivalry towards them. There's no being careful. It's like the Prophet ﷺ said the opposite. The Prophet ﷺ said, be careful with the vases, or the glass vases. In what's the word? In implying that they're fragile, right? And also the hadith about Hawa came from Adam's rib, and don't try and bend the rib; it will break, and all of that, right? This is actually what we're taught, right? But what has happened is this whole equality movement, and women are just as good as men, and women are pretty much the same as men in every single way, and all that. Whatever it is, there's probably multiple reasons it's become like this. But as a kind of outsider to the UK culture and society, and someone who lived many, many years outside of the UK, then I came to the UK, I actually found that, I noticed it. I noticed that, men are kind of like that towards women here. And I'm talking about Muslim men because that's who I know more and I mixed more with. So it's like, because they, women of their position or whatever in the society has changed, men are just like, I don't know, their natural reaction is, okay, I guess you're on my same level, so therefore you're like a man, so therefore I treat you like a man. Like, some of how insensitive men are with other men. And I remember, for example, I don't know about you, but when I was in school, bro, there was just zero pulling punches. The most insensitive stuff, we would just say it, bro, straight, right? And some people would be more careful than others. Probably some of us were more like socially and emotionally intelligent than others. But I remember it was ruthless, and I think a lot of boys, and they grow up like that, and we kind of just get over it. We brush it off and stuff because, we're a bit less sensitive in general. But now apply that to women, right? And that's what you see happening on Twitter and stuff like that, where men will say that type of lack of sensitivity, they will apply that to women now. And personally, I was not raised like that, I was raised where women are more fragile. They have to be more careful. In the end, you're the protector of women, right? If you have ghira, you don't just have ghira over your sister or your wife or your mother. You have ghira over all your Muslim sisters, right? Yes. And part of that ghira and the protectiveness that you want to have for them is to sometimes protect them maybe from the dodgy things they're saying by attacking them or what's the word? Triggering them in public, whatever. Not by shaming them in public, but just dealing with it in a bit more of a wise way or whatever. But anyway, long story short, I just think there's something that has happened in the culture where men are no longer viewing women as people they have to kind of protect and be careful with and be sensitive with, basically.
I think that a lot of that is also misplaced, though. Like the way people execute that ghira is very, I think detrimental to the relationship. If anything, I think it comes from a place of like control and, oh, you're fragile and you're weak and you don't understand. So I'm here. Let me step in and make you understand. Like I've got a right to, because of the blessings Allah has given me in strength and intellect, etc. I'm going to step in now as a complete stranger to you and make you understand, because you're my Muslim sister and you deserve to be taught. There's this kind of like ownership of a situation that might not necessarily be your responsibility to do. And then when it like backtracks, you get this like hostility that comes out on social media, like just men are like absolute strangers to women arguing and having these big beefs online and like this back and forth. And then you've got other men like taking the side of the sister, like, actually, how dare you, what you doing? And then other men siding with, the advice giver, so to speak. And it's like, it's just a big fitna, bro. It's a massive fitna. When really,
Yes,
you're just, I feel like a lot of it is just, it transforms into something else. And, we could talk about men and women forever in these arenas, but it's really actually just the refutation, debate, content culture online right now. It's like, oh,
that's a factor.
you didn't
as
take
well.
my private advice? Well, that gives me now the free reign to take this public. Let's get some clicks. Let's get some views.
Yeah.
This is going to be content. Because you kind of convince yourself, look, I've sat with da'is before, bro, and I've disagreed with them on some of their da'wah content. Maybe some of the biggest da'is out there on the English-speaking scene. And I've sat with some and I'll be like, listen, this particular format you're doing, I don't like it. I don't think it's great. I think it's really misplaced, And they'll sit there and they'll tell me their intention and explain to me what they're trying to do with complete yaqeen that they think they're doing the right thing, And it's like, oh, this is in front of me and I must change it with my hand, or I must change it with my, And sometimes I think of like that story of, the Bedouin who came and urinated in the Prophet's masjid, and how like everybody wanted to just get involved and do something there. And the idea that the reason why the Prophet ﷺ prevented them, the scholars talk about how you've got a mess, and if it got physical, that mess just gets spread around everywhere. And suddenly it's bigger than it was, and it's a bigger fitna than it was. And the way that the Prophet ﷺ dealt with it was in a much more lenient and a much more sensible way. And that's kind of like, I'm not talking about women, I'm talking about fitna in general. Any fitna that needs to be approached, sometimes it backfires. And I not to go on forever because I'm very conscious of that. I tweeted something the other day about just Muslim YouTubers in general. And I said, like, just be wary that all this obnoxious, like borderline scandalous content we put out, like, oh, did you hear what Ustad this said? Oh, look what he secretly did. Oh, look what he said in the... Bro, we're literally airing out dirty laundry to the world, like to the rest of the ummah. And we have, not just ummah, sorry, to the non-Muslims as well, to our enemies as well. I've gone into the comment section of these kind of videos, and you will literally see these like evangelical, whatever, David Wood type personality fan people. And it's like, oh, you talk about Islam being so perfect, but you're at each other's throats on a public setting, in a public platform. It's not like YouTube.Muslim, it's YouTube.com. Everyone's got it. Everyone can see it. So it's, and through these incidents, people clip stuff and they're like, oh, like some days will say silly things or stupid things, and that gets clipped and thrown around, and oh, look at these Muslims say this and that. So we've got to be careful.
Assalamu alaikum, Mind Heist listeners. I've got a brand new YouTube channel that I've just launched, and it's gone off to a bang. And it's all about hijrah, global living as a Muslim. I've lived, alhamdulillah, in 4 different Muslim countries, although I was born in the UK. So if you're interested in that at all, you're either living abroad or you're thinking of making the move, then check out the link in the description for my YouTube channel. And I hope you enjoy and benefit.
Yeah. The shaitan, bro. And in the end, the Prophet ﷺ warned us, most people go to the hellfire because of just 2 things, man. Just 2 things. And it's very, very easy to use one of them, at least for now. Alhamdulillah, just one of them. But it's very easy, to send messages and to post things and all of that. So, we just got to fear Allah, basically. But to try and be kind of constructive about this, I would say because, like, so, well, like what I was saying, like the kind of culture that I came from or the upbringing that I had, and I think most people did back in the day, and, a lot of people from more traditional cultures have this upbringing. It's like a woman wouldn't like talk back to her husband disrespectfully, and a husband would never expect his wife to, go out and carry this or do this or whatever, right? So it's like they both have their places, they complement each other, blah, 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 right? When one of them is on that wavelength and the other is not, it's not going to work. Likewise, if you look at, I mean, I don't want to like praise it too much, but you do find that like the white people in the UK, they're non-Muslims, and they have this whole thing where the men are very kind of whatever, accepted the feminism, and they share things with their wife or their girlfriend 50-50. They share the bills and they do this, and they, have kids without marriage, and they, the dad does the nappies and the woman, goes to work and the man cooks, whatever. Some of them, they've sorted that out because they're on the same wavelength, basically. I'm not saying that they've like found the solution. I'm saying that simply because of the fact that they're both in agreement of how things should work, right? And genuinely, right? It's not like the man is doing it, but he resents it. Some of them, they're completely on the same wavelength, and that would work. You can imagine and you can see how that would work. Likewise, the traditional mindset, if you're both on that same mindset, it's going to work. So for you, if you're looking to get married, then just think about how can I bend my values to fit into this woman so we can get married, or this man so we can get married. Instead of thinking about that or putting something you feel strongly about to the side, instead just find someone, and I know it might feel like it's difficult, but Allah could create someone literally just for you to marry, okay? Marry somebody who has the same values as you, not the same favorite color and the same favorite cuisine and they're gonna have something different, but these like values and these roles that you believe a husband, a wife, and a mother and father should have, that should be pretty much exactly the same, right? And that will avoid 100%. These issues, right? Even if you're both in agreement that you should share the bills 50-50, whatever it is, just agreeing from the beginning, that would save. I believe, alhamdulillah, that's why I've not had issues with my marriage pretty much from the beginning, because we just agree on these things, man. And I think I could just see that with so many situations that people, they just agree. They don't have that to beef over. Instead, they beef over like, I don't know, we should buy this for the kids, and we shouldn't. We should teach the kids this, or we shouldn't. We should go on holiday this place. No, we shouldn't.
Exactly. Nothing. Like this. Honestly, it's not even, and the thing is, like, I think a lot of guys have this impression that Islam has like a kind of uniform view of in men and women interactions. But like just a little dip into history, and you'd realize cultures were different in even at the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like the women of Medina were not like the women of Mecca. Like the culture of Medina was not like the culture of Mecca when it came to men and women. Even they had to adapt. Villages had different cultures, let alone countries. Certain areas in Algeria are not the same. Certain areas in Tunisia are not the same. It's like that. So for you to assume the way I view it is right and the way you view it is wrong, and I have to force my right view on you, it's not necessarily appropriate. And if you're not comfortable with that, like you said, you got to find someone with the same.
Right. Yeah, 100%. Exactly. If you're from Mecca, you don't have to marry someone from Medina. It might not be a good idea, etc. And likewise, I want to say for those who are already married and they're having some disagreements over fundamental values, perhaps, it's not necessarily the end. But I think a really good start to that whole thing is, like we said, like communication. But specifically, I think the way you word it can make the biggest difference. If you word it just like, I was just raised like this, and I just find this to be normal. And when I look at the Sharia, I don't see it like opposing this. And I don't know if I can feel comfortable with your way of viewing this. I think that's a healthy way of approaching this discussion. And just, as long as you don't see this as being a halal haram thing, You just say like, this is how I was raised. This is what's normal to me, and go from there, you know, because I think that takes the judgment out of it, that this is wrong and you're right. It becomes more like, you know, I like this flavor ice cream and you like that. I don't think I can ever like the chocolate ice cream. I know you love it. I'm just more of a like strawberry kind of a guy, you know? So I think that could help, you know? I think that
I love
can
your
help.
analogies.
And also get my book. I think my book changed my view of a lot of things, right? A part of it, you know, is in relation to women, viewing women, treating women certain ways. And I think that's a really good sign that when I was doing the research forced me to kind of view things slightly differently. So I think my book is very helpful in that regard for men.
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, women can, and it's not written in a tone that's like condescending or white knight, or it's just, I don't know. I think it's pretty straight up. So I know even women have bought it for their brothers, and I don't know about husbands. I know they bought it for their brothers and stuff. So I think it'll be good. And even if you bought it for your husband, yeah, he wouldn't, it's not written in a way where it's like, oh, here's a book, sort yourself out, fix yourself up with this book. It's not really like that. So I think that's a good shot as well. Sincerely.
There's a lot of fragility on all ends of the spectrum. Nobody's comfortable like letting things just having a different, you know, they're just, oh, I see it. I wish I was better at putting my thoughts into words. But like, even like the whole masculinity thing and the whole, you know, that whole movement, I do think it comes from like a somewhat of a fragile place that you just can't accept the variance of men, as long as they're like they're happy and they're comfortable and they're confident and they are who they are with themselves. It's like, no, you have to be 2-3 years Dagestan. Like, you have to be that guy. You have to be this cookie cutter Muslim. And I think a lot of it came out of. Did you see that? Did you see that incident where that brother was crying on the podium? There was a brother.
Yeah.
I think we mentioned it, didn't we? And
Bro, I wish I want to do that, bro. I don't know if
2-3 years Dagestan.
I think, yeah, I need to do the 2-3 years Dagestan, bro.
You know what? With all due respect, I think it's great to have something like that. I think my 5 years in the police was like that for me. You know, it transformed me as a man. Yeah, I think it's useful to have some. I'm not saying that it's like I went to Dagestan, but some nights it felt like it, to be honest. It's what they call it, like oh God, what's the word? Rite of passage. That's it. A rite of passage.
Right, yeah.
Like a bar mitzvah or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, interesting choice.
Dude, like, this is it though. I think you should just be comfortable with the variances of men and how like guys have different personalities. Some are tough and some are tough in different ways. Some are like tough in, you know, a physical sense. Some of the most macho bravado guys, I just see some of their weaknesses as glaring, like their inability to connect with their inner child, you know, to say that they love their wives, you know. But that lack of confidence and that lack of like, oh, bro, that's gay, bro. No, bro. Like every other thing, you're just too scared of being called gay. That's a fear to me. That's a fragility. Like, get off me, bro. That's gay, bro. Shut up, bro. Calm down. It's fine. We know you love women. It's okay. But I think that's done a lot to guys. I think that some guys have to go like really extra with that. They just can't. The notion, like, everything has a no homo attached to it. They can't open up about feeling. They can't open up about like there's guys I'm friends with that they literally cannot have a serious conversation with you. Like, if you were to really internalize, like, they might have an issue and you try and sit down with them and say, listen, bro, what's going on? And everything has to be a joke. Everything has to, like, you can't have a serious, let's tackle this issue you've got. Let's work together. Let's delve into it. Let's crack the pomegranate, as some saying in Tunisia goes. But no, emotions are too gay. Feelings are gay. Everything's gay. The only thing that's not gay is being in a gym with loads of hot, sweaty guys. That's not gay at all.
Oh, man.
Fragility, baby.
Yeah.
And you know what?
You know
Go
what
on.
it is, bro? It's when we're living in times, yani, in terms of decades, or let's say 2, 3, 4 generations, not even 4, 2, 3 generations. Just too much change, bro. So much
Yeah.
change. And there are certain things that are easier to adapt to, even if they're very big changes, right? Like, I don't know, yesterday I had to guide a cow to pull my, what's that thing? Plow, right? And today, all of a sudden, I got a tractor. Like, I could deal with that, bro. I might put on some weight. I might put on some weight from, not walking anymore or whatever, but, it's not hundreds of years of very complex, sophisticated social bonds and norms and this and that. So that whole cow to the tractor thing, that's one thing. But now think of the change that has happened over just the last 40 years, right? From the 80s until the 2020s. Think about it. It's insane, bro. The globalization, the internet, the computers, now AI, and then you've got women working in men's jobs, you could say, because women often worked in the past. You've got feminism. You've got different types of marriages. You've got the religion in the West, taking much less of a role. So much change, and for people not to struggle with that change, I think you would be. I don't think we think about really how much change that is for something as well balanced as human coexistence within a society or a family unit. Something that of course it would have changed over hundreds of years, but the speed of change, it's hard to adapt. It must be hard to adapt. Like I don't even know how it impacted me, and I can't tell you, oh, this changed and this changed around me. I don't know too deep if I don't really realize, but you can imagine. Bro.
It's the multitude of influences that we're subjected to as a society, as opposed to like you see those old pictures of like maybe even Victorian times, really. Like look at a Victorian street, and they were obviously the same in Algeria. Like in that period, you might see I use North African example, but like there's photos of the early days. And it's just everybody's wearing hayek and everybody's wearing a thobe, and there's no variance. Same in Victorian times, everyone's wearing a top hat or something, and everyone's wearing like a particular style of dress, and that speaks to just what was the area of influence at the time. And when a new fashion would come in, it wouldn't come in on a big screen. It'd come in because someone from a faraway land brought it in. And they brought it in, and then it spreads across the society equally. Oh, they've got these new hats. Oh, everyone wants this new hat. Everybody's wearing this new hat, and suddenly it becomes part of the culture. Whilst now, like I could be an individual being influenced by a certain attitude, certain ideas, certain style from, Texas, and that's being beamed right to me. Then you've got something else being beamed to you from the Philippines, like hypothetically speaking. And then we've got a society that is so disjointed. And also, reputation doesn't matter anymore, really and truthfully, because what is popular online is the outrageous, the obscene, the crazy. And guess what? It's not like the shame society exists where if I do something outrageous, 200 years ago, I'm shunned. No, that person still maintains their audience still grows, and actually, I want to be like that, I want to be obscene. And that's why like Andrew Tate's influence was becoming a problem in schools, because boys were taking that kind of mentality on, whilst 200, 300 years ago that would be shunned. Oh, you're a I don't know, a misogynist, hypothetically, you get shunned or whatever it is. So, and it just beams all these ideas. So what you've got is a society being exposed to so many different ideas, and so many of them pushing the extremes of those ideas, that it's disjointed. And it's kind of why I think a lot of the time Europe is the way it is, and why it's just like a bit of a sinking ship in terms of community cohesion.
Well, it's atomization. It's atomization. I remember you reminded me actually of like Jalal was teaching this. He did like kind of some live kind of classes a few years ago about liberalism, and one of the sessions was on, it was something to do with like the economic liberalism basically. But he went into this section which was about how capitalism, or like the the chase or the pursuit, pursuit of just like maximum profits and growth, non-stop growth, etc. One of the results of that is that companies and like marketing executives and stuff, they wanted to break down society more and more, right? So before it was just like maybe rich people, middle people, poor people, whatever. But then it's like, no, we need to get these middle people and we need to split them. Okay, split them by gender. Then the gender, let's split them by, okay, you're a punk, you're a goth,
Yeah.
you're like Rastafarian, you're this. And every identity is split. And when you're split in your culture and your identity, you're on your own. And you're basically now prey to advertising and stuff, right? And to these impulses to buy more and to buy to fit in and to buy to match the identity that you've taken on. And you're basically easier to sell to rather than I'm like 1 in a million people, right? I've got my family. I've got a big family. They support me. I feel quite secure and confident about myself because I've got my family around me and stuff. And we have a clear identity as to who we are. We're the Smiths, we're the Thompsons, we're the whatever, and this is who we are and this is what we do and blah, 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 right? That person, they feel, I think, less of a sense of lack. And the more you atomize people, the more they feel they are lacking. And so they buy things to make up for that lack.
Right. I think, and that's why we are, as a Muslim diaspora, so fragmented in that arena as well, because you've got, I always like, I don't know if this is a negative or a positive, but like the English speaking Dawa scene, at least in the UK, is so, it's almost like, it feels at times like monolithic. Like everybody knows each other, and that is the one that is like, oh, Islam, UK Islam, that's what people's mind goes to. It goes to like your Ali Dawas and your Muhammad Hijabs and co. Like anyone, because everyone knows each other. You know, I've sat in rooms where like half of a YouTuber in there.
It's a very small group.
But because
for
of
sure.
that, what ends up happening is, you know, one of those guys does something that is, I know, a bit questionable, a bit outlandish, or, you know, makes a video that's a bit outrageous, and suddenly that's the view of everyone.
Yeah.
And it's not the view of everyone, but that's, how do I want to say this? That's what everyone views, you know, Muslim religious guys as. So then you've got this like, oh, practicing guys are like this, Akis are like that, you know, and it kind of paints it, when really, unless you break it down like we're doing it now, and that atomization is a beautiful word. I love that. It's just sad that that has basically become, like the internet has become the source of truth and the source of reality. Like the real world is the internet. Like the internet is where you get your truth from, and you get the rest of the world from, because you're in a bubble and your assumption is
welcome to the real world. Right, I need to watch The Matrix.
You've never watched it?
No, I mean like again, you get a refresh.
Yeah, they did another one, didn't they? That one really sucked. That was really bad. I was hoping for something a bit, you know, I can't even remember it actually. Something a bit more like, oh, this is making me think.
Very forgettable.
It's making me think. Oh, I'm thinking.
If I remember correctly, were the three,
There
right?
was 3 originally. Now there's a 4th one.
Yeah. So there's a 4th one. Okay, I didn't watch the 4th one. I think the 3rd one, did they win the war against the machines in the 3rd
Test
one?
my law now. I think they agreed to reboot the Matrix, but like have Neo like in it, like as a, I don't know, they rewrote it in a particular way. I can't remember. I don't remember the other 2. I just remember the first one the most.
Yeah, I think it was just like I think if I remember correctly, the 3rd one, they were just trying to find a way to end the story,
probably,
rather than it being a story.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean. Yeah. Anyway, the amount of like parallels from that first one. Anyway, forget the rest of it. Just that first one and the what do they call it? World building. Yeah, the world building that came out of that. It's just shocking how like applicable it is, and how more applicable it is every day to us. It's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. we are moving into dangerous territory. But then again, if that film came out, early 2000s, late 90s, didn't it? So even then, they were thinking that the world is a simulation. And it felt like that back at the time. I mean, there was this culture in the late 90s of, office cubicle, dissatisfaction with that kind of culture. You had your Fight Clubs, you had your Matrixes, you had there was other films with that kind of aesthetic, sick of the cubicle life.
True.
And we don't really have that now. Everything's kind of work from home and weird.
Yeah, we had a renaissance apparently because, we had COVID where everyone's working from home. We have these like nomads who like have a job, but they're just like on the beach doing their job. You have people doing like 3 different jobs pretending that they were just working for one company. Like those people in the 90s would say that we're living the life right now.
Yeah, but like there is a lot missed. There is a middle ground, I think.
Of course.
Some companies do middle grounds, which are nice. Like I go into the office a few times a week. I don't have to, but it's nice to be able to just look over and be like, can you answer the question I have got? As opposed to me sending like 10 emails like forever. And, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's little things.
And telling your AI agent to send them a reminder email every hour until they
Don't
respond.
even get me started. I watched another film the other day. What was it?
I was going to ask you actually, if you had the freedom, like let's say you had a business, would you take weekends or would you like work 7 days, 6 days, 4 days? How would you do it, do you think?
Weekends, most likely. I'm very,
2 days,
I just like, I saw this post the other day. It was like, no one will remember that you worked late. The only person that will remember that you worked late was your kids or something along those lines. It's like you could pour so much into work and money and dunya, but it's your family that feels your absence the most. And especially if you're like working for an organization or a company, like you're replaceable, you're expendable. They won't miss you.
Or what if it's your business? Does that change?
You tell me, because I don't know. I've never had that position. I've never really been in that position.
Well, me personally, I do weekends. I do 2 days weekends. I started out not doing weekends. I'm like, why would I do weekends? Like that's too status quo, But then I guess either when I got married or when my son was born, I was like, okay, let me do weekends.
Yeah.
And 2 days, I guess, is good. It seems about okay.
Yeah.
You can do 3 days. You could do 1 day. I don't know. Not too opinionated on it, but I was just wondering what you would do if you had a business. That was your only thing. You set your days and your hours completely.
Yeah, it's tough, I suppose, because I think a business relying wholeheartedly on your own business requires so much time and effort and to make it work. And it's like no days off really. Otherwise it could just fall apart for a lot of businesses. So I'm a big fan of like the half. Like I do half my time I'm working for someone and half my time I'm working for myself. And that way there's like a level of stability and a fallback, and also a level to, because a lot of jobs you work for, a lot of people you work for, you're not necessarily rewarded for working any harder. Like my day job, I could work my butt off tomorrow and I'll still get paid the same at the end of the month.
100%. Yeah. I mean, what I've seen is a lot of the opposite where people just slack and no one even notices.
Yeah. And I've had to deal with colleagues like that who, I share a workload with, and they're taking the mick and it makes everyone else suffer. Because sometimes they don't.
And they go on holiday and no one even
They
notices.
don't know how good they've got it sometimes, and then they lose out. And, but when I was, because I was doing freelance web design at the side, so I would use that as my outlet to like, okay, you know what, this month I'm going to take this client and I'm going to work my butt off and I'll get rewarded because I was actually putting in extra work. But at the same time, as opposed to some of my friends who were like completely freelance, I wasn't sweating it when I didn't have a client next month. I was like, oh, I don't have a client next month. I would have a client approach me and I would say, like I actually had a really good client, amazing proposition, fantastic, maybe my biggest possible one yet. And I turned it down because my baby was about to be born. Later was coming. I said, it's not. I'm not giving you good work in this time, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to ruin my reputation. So I pump the brakes, and I can afford to do that, which is why I like that balance.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that balance.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you about that because I've been playing around with Google AI Studio, with the new Google release. Everyone's saying it's sick, this and that. And also Lovable, if you've used that tool at all.
Sounds
Have
familiar.
you?
Remind me what it is. I feel like I have.
Lovable is like an AI builder. You make either websites with it, but also like apps and
Okay.
stuff.
I think I might have booted it up
Yeah.
once.
So I've been playing with these, right? And okay, I've got my brand guidelines done already. Like I've got a PDF of that. But all I'm going to say is if you're a web designer, you're cooked. Do you agree?
Probably. Absolutely. It's kind of like made me a little bit apathetic towards getting back into it. I haven't
Right.
really done any time. Since maybe early September, which is quite bad, isn't it? Really, it's been a while, but I just haven't had the time.
Yeah.
I just can't think of the time when I'm going to take a client on, unless it's like something small. But yeah, I keep seeing these videos in my, my Twitter and my YouTube algorithm, and I'm just like, oh, maybe it's a bit late for me. But same thing with like copywriting. Like I keep getting DMs from. I'm sorry, guys, if it's any of you listeners, but people like offering to do copywriting and appointment setting and all this stuff for me on my end. And I don't know why they're approaching me because I don't put content out for that stuff. But I'm kind of like, I don't need you. I don't. I've got literally ChatGPT does everything for me. I was trying to fix my car yesterday with ChatGPT. Fascinating. It's just getting better and better. I'll take a photo. I'll be like, hey,
Yeah.
I've got obviously got a Japanese import and I'm trying to change a headlight and it's very complicated. You wouldn't think it's complicated, but for some reason, hey, Japan, what's going on?
I believe it.
I've got cuts and bruises on my hands from trying to. Anyway, I was like, this part looks funky. I take a photo like inside my car, like under the car. I upload it, and it's like, oh yeah, that's it right there. That bit you have to turn that. And then I find a YouTube video and it looks different. And I'll take the screenshot of the YouTube video, put it in, and be like, what's that? That one looks different. Oh no, because that's from a particular model and it's blah 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 model. And anyway, it's scary stuff, man.
Yeah. I don't. It's funny. I was thinking about this in terms of moving to Algeria. I think I haven't even noticed it, but I think it's much easier because I have ChatGPT. Just in terms of those kind of little things like fixing my car. I had a leak. I had a leak in my water, whatever pipes the other day, and it's like photo. What?
Yeah. What is
You
it?
just tell it what.
What this?
Sometimes the thing is though, I think, and I've said this in the past, me and you are in the best situation because we lived for 20, 30 years without it. So we have that foundation. We have our own brain on our shoulders, our own head on our shoulders to like just understand certain fundamentals of certain things. And then the AI will enhance it to a next level, right? But without that, I don't know, to be honest. You might be cooked if you don't
think
have
of
that.
every technology we had like growing up. I mean, there was a golden age of the internet, I think. I don't think we're in it now. Well, let's say golden age of social media, actually. There was a golden age of social media, in my opinion, where it was...
That probably ended like 2010 or so.
Yeah, honestly. And there was a golden age of, I don't know, YouTube's quite good now. But even then, I think YouTube, they always talk about golden ages. And I think we're in the golden age of AI. I think right now it's a sweet spot. I think we're in the sweet spot.
It's as good as
Yeah,
it'll
like this
get.
is like right now at work. Hey, use Copilot to quickly, like, dude, I will. For example, I'll give you an example. I've got to respond to members of the public in my workplace, right? And it might be a query, but like the answer is in like 6 emails. Okay, so what I will do is I'll Control P all these emails into PDFs, upload them into Copilot, and then take a screenshot of the inquiry, for example. Be like, listen, Copilot, my G, answer this inquiry with the information provided in all these emails. Saves me reading them all. And then obviously I proofread, I edit where I want. And I think a lot of people don't do that. That's probably where the lazy, like that's where the Gen Zs are slipping up. They just upload the whole thing as it is. Guys, you've got to do something. Amateur, baby. No, go through it. Boom. Bro, it's making my day so much quicker. Maybe I should take on more clients. But 10 years time, my job, I feel like right now, both of them, my day job and my freelance. I feel like they won't be here no more.
Yeah.
So, 100%.
Yeah. That brings me to my next question. Not to go into the topic of hijra, okay, brother? This is more a topic of lifestyle rather than the specific country, right? Because I think so, but let's just assume this is true. You could, let's say in 6 months, take you a while to sort things out. You could pick up, move to Tunisia and live in that rural setting where you're from and stuff, yeah? And that rural kind of isolated, free life. Do you think you would do it? Could you do it? Like, could you hack it? Like, would you actually like the rural life, or are you a city guy?
I'm an in-between guy, and I've always been an in-between guy because of that, I think.
No, bro. We need extreme. We need polarization. We need atomization. We need
I
to
don't
go
want to live
viral,
in the city,
baby.
but I want it close by. Like, going out to town needs to be a 10-minute maximum thing,
10 minutes? That's not rural anymore.
Yeah, but
you're in the city now.
Okay,
with
but
10 minutes.
that's how I've always lived. It's only now that I live in the city center. But even now, like, I suppose it's a residential area, and if I walk 3 minutes down the road, I'm in the city center.
That's called suburban.
Suburban. Yeah, okay. Well,
You've got urban, you got suburban, you got
Tunisia
rural.
is
I'm saying
rural.
rural.
Yeah, okay. If I had to pick, it's going to be rural. If I had to pick. I can't do a lot of city stuff.
Okay.
I can't do that sardine life. I can't deal with the fumes. I can't deal with the noise. I want to see trees.
Okay. I think you'll love it, bro. I think you got the wide open fields, you got the kids, you just running and playing, eating slugs. It'll be good, bro.
I woke up with a slug on my bed sheet right here once. Like, I was lying down in Tunisia right now. I had a frog in my shoe once. What else?
There you go.
All sorts of animals. Toad under my sofa. It happens. I'm not even lying. They're all coming back to me. I had what's it called? It's called a nymphs. It's like I'm not going to be able to find this. It's like got a bushy tail. It looks like an otter. Nymphs. What's a nymphs?
A weasel.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Weasel.
That's a weasel.
You saw a weasel,
They like
bro.
eat the chickens.
That's rural. That sounds rural.
Yeah, they eat the chickens, bro. They're like vicious. It's like a giant, because it's got like a big bushy tail.
Oh, they eat chickens. Not even chickens'
No,
eggs.
they just go
like
straight for the chicks and
straight up.
chickens and stuff. And warthogs. I saw them. We've got to see warthogs everywhere. It's great, man. And you know what? You're talking about AI and stuff. Like, doesn't really. It helps a lot over there, and it doesn't really negatively affect even the income.
Yeah, so far.
Like the
far,
people that
yeah.
rent from us, for example, we've got garage, like a mechanic. He ain't gonna get affected.
Yeah.
A metal, what's it called? A blacksmith. I don't know. Panel beater.
Yeah, like a metal worker guy. Yeah.
ChatGPT ain't going to do that. You've got a cafe. ChatGPT, no.
Bro, Tunisians need cafes, bro.
Bro,
Come on.
that guy never misses a payment. He's always got the money. Other people might have tough times and stuff. Like a mechanic might not have that many clients or whatever. And then you've got a dentist.
Okay.
That's it really. An apartment, a couple of other things, but that's it. And then obviously there's like the agriculture side of things. Like, ChatGPT gonna get rid of my olives? I don't know. Can you grow an olive?
I mean, it's not it's not it's not worth it financially to roboticize or whatever, install robotics and AI and stuff in that size farming project.
And even for my
probably,
kids,
innit?
like,
So,
I'm not Allahu Alam, like, if they have high aspirations, and when I say high aspirations, like, if they've got aspirations for that, like, corporate life, that kind of like, the Canary Wharf Dubai kind of life. If it's halal for you, go for it. Like, my philosophy with my kids right now is, hey, whatever you want to do that's halal, like, you can make, if you want money and you're enjoying a particular thing, just be the best you can be at that thing that you enjoy. I'm not really into this, like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a CEO, you have, like, whatever you enjoy doing, as long as it's halal, like do that. And I want you to kind of be the best you are at that. Even if it's just chef, like one of my kids loves cooking and being like chefing up, right? I'm like, hey, that's awesome. Do it. Like open a restaurant or something, or be a whatever you want to do. Just be the best you can be at that. And yeah, over there, like if they were there and they wanted to, I don't know, they wanted to even be a mechanic or like open up a garage or something, and we've got space. Hey, I'll kick out this guy. You can open up your business here. Like, why not? I don't. It's the dunya, bro, and I think that's the key thing. It's like I feel like if you were to give your kids that kind of empowerment to really chase what they are good at and what they enjoy doing, as long as it's halal, I think they'd be empowered to really, hopefully, inshallah, go far with it, right? But that's like a different topic.
Well, if they're living in rural Tunisia, they might not aim for much of that stuff, though.
That's
the
true.
thing as well.
There is that, and there's like that kind of silver spoon element of it, and knowing that you're not from there, and there's a lot of dynamics. But I try not to worry too much about these things. Maybe because I don't have like a daughter that I'm mentally overprotective. But I just see these kids, these boys of mine, as like you're going to be like 20 years old one day, and there's like you're going to be a grown man. Like you make your own decisions at that point. I'm not going to own your mistakes. Like you need to make mistakes in life, and you'll figure it out. Inshallah, you give them a good base of principles and lessons and tarbiyah and advice. But as soon as they hit like 18, 20, like, hey, you're going to make mistakes, and you need those mistakes to guide you. Don't make stupid life ruining mistakes. Don't come home to me with some child and be like, oh, this is my, out of wedlock. Like that's Allah Najina. Those are some of the things that keep me up at night. But
yeah, of course. Speaking of like Tunisia and North Africa and cultural things, bro, I was saying this to my wife today. Algerians, I've been to quite a few countries, okay? Not been to the whole world.
I've seen your YouTube channel,
countries. Yes, exactly. Algerians are the most social people I've ever come across. They just, how like this is pretty much the case in the UK, but probably especially like in Scandinavian, Germanic kind of cultures, everyone just sticks to themselves. Like if they have to interact, it's very formal. It's very like, give each other space. Algeria is the opposite extreme, bro. They just, they don't hesitate for a split second to like start a conversation with a stranger. 100%. And it's like, even in the capital city where, big city usually where people become like more distant, bro, it's no different, man, I'm telling you. People just they'll get in your business. They'll like overhear your conversation and they'll say, oh yeah, you're looking for that. Okay, yeah, go here and do that. Bro, they're very opinionated. They're very social. It is next level. Like I only mind it because I recognize my weakness that I'm not social. But other than that, it's quite cool, bro. It's quite cool.
It's so good, bro, when you've got like, you run into trouble or something and people will just, jump over each other to try and assist you. Especially like connections, I might not know someone who can help you, but I can't help you, but I'll know someone who can help you. Just wait here, let me call him, blah, blah, blah. And he heard that. And I heard a story the other day, a fascinating one. It was actually about an Algerian and Tunisian, I'm pretty sure. And it was in France. A guy came off the boat, start his life in Haraga, I guess, start his life in France. And he bumped into an Algerian guy, I think it was. And the Algerian guy's like, oh, how can I help you kind of thing? Where have you come from? I've come from Tunis, blah, blah, blah. He said to him, I hope I'm getting it right, but he said to him, oh, I'm a barber, like I can cut hair. And he goes, oh, wait, let me call my friend and I'll try and get you a place in his barbershop. Calls his friend. His friend says, oh, I can't right now. We're full, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, he's like, no worries, no worries. They separate. That's the only time they ever saw each other. Pimpney. So he bumped into him like literally outside the port or something like that. And then 4 years later, this guy ends up working in a barbershop and he's cutting hair and this Algerian guy walks in, the same Algerian guy. And he's like, oh, Kifish Sahbi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. He goes, do you remember me? He's like, oh, I'm not sure. He goes, oh, when I came off the boat. Anyway, it clicked. He remembered him. He goes, "Oh, I really thank you that day. You
Okay.
tried to make effort for me." He goes, "Wallahi al-azim, the person I
Yeah.
called to help you is the guy you're working for right now." Do you know what I mean? So it just showed you like Mia Safia. So like 4 years later,
Whoa.
he ended up working for that guy, and
Whoa.
it shows you like even
Yeah.
the niyyah to help somebody, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give that person the reward regardless,
Of
right?
course. Yeah, sincerity. But I feel like as well because my mom was born in the UK, right? My Alhamdulillah. So she used to tell me about how the UK used to be before, and it's just her upbringing and stuff, right? And I feel like even though British people or English people, maybe I should say, they're quite Germanic, yani. Their language is half Germanic, and just their culture and their behavior is quite of that kind of side of the world. But I think they're more sociable, social, sorry, than Germans or Swedes or
Yeah.
whatever, right? They're quite social, but what might have reduced that now is there are a lot of foreigners basically. They're probably still like that in the rural parts, right? But in the cities, it's like I don't know if everyone's like this, but the Brits have these like little comments that they'll make, which is like they'll just say a very British thing, and only a British person will get it. But there's just so many foreigners now that they just like, I feel like they give up on saying these things because it doesn't get the impact. It doesn't have the reception that it might
Maybe,
have,
yeah.
40 years ago or
Certainly
something.
in certain areas,
Yeah.
like London, certain areas of London, I should even say.
Yeah, like urban,
Yeah.
urban
But
places.
it's not,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't feel like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like that where
So,
I am, and I think that's the nice thing about it. But yeah, you can see the negative. I mean, it's like that anyway. It'd be like that anywhere. I mean, if Algeria was suddenly,
yeah, anywhere that there's different people. Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes I'm a bit like, yeah, I kind of get it. I can like there's enough content to farm. There's enough issues to farm from when you're trying to come at the
Yeah.
world from that angle. Um, and I don't really know what the solution is or if there is one. They talk about integration and assimilation and all these kind of words, and I think it means different things to different people. Like the average Muslim thinks that means getting rid of their Islam, but do you know what? I think a lot of us just don't talk to people. They don't smile. Like it's weird. Like that's something that gets sucked out of you. Like if I make eye contact with someone, I'll do that little English smile, no teeth, just all lips.
You're right,
Yeah,
mate. That
but
kind of
like
smile.
I will try, and because I'm very conscious that there's a lot out there, perceptions, and I'm actually
Yeah.
I think I underestimate how intimidating I might look to people that don't know me, right? So I will go out of my way to kind of try and be, hospitable and nice and smile and, oh, can I get the door for you or whatever it might be. But I think we should all be like that. That's Islam, right? But you've also got, on the contrary, you've got like Muslims that you say salam alaikum to them on the street and they just air you and they ignore you. It's like, dude, if you can't say salam alaikum to me, what are you saying to Michael and Richard? Like, how are you treating them? It's very strange,
Yes. Yeah. I mean, there's subcultures in the UK as well. And we probably don't like get that too much because we're like North African, whatever, and there aren't too many of us. But if you're like Pakistani, you're specifically like Punjabi or whatever, from whatever region, there are certain cities where there are just tons of you, and there's neighborhoods where there's just tons of you. And so it's like, okay, I go to work, I put my white voice on, I leave work, now I'm back in, my area basically. And so they have this subculture. So they would have their own, their own inside jokes, their own ways of saying things, their own slang, their own this and that, right? Not that they're fully like isolated and cut off, but I'm just saying they create a subculture. And that kind of might reduce the mixing and the integration as well. But bro, the boat has sailed and it's too late. And
But I think it's.
I'm not worried
I know
about
you're
it.
not worried. You,
No.
as an Algerian in Algeria, aren't worried, and I think it's really important though for people to have this self awareness. It's why I harp on, even though I haven't made the trip. But it's why I harp on about finding somewhere you can assimilate, because I think like like a white blood cell, like someone's immune system. A society is like that. Sooner or later, they will point fingers at the outsider. And the problem with diaspora like us or like me is that you are a foreigner everywhere you are, and nobody will want you. There's a lot of the Arab world. You can see this like with the discourse that UAE were putting out. And I don't think this is just the UAE that say this. I think it's a well-known thing. I remember when I was interviewed by the police in Tunisia, they kind of gave off a similar hint. They have this view of like practicing Muslims that are from the Europe as dangerous because they come with a mindset of entitlement and freedom of speech and freedom of this, and I can say what I want and I can practice how I want and I can demand what I want. Like these kind of rights, right? Which are seen as a threat to governments and a threat to societies and a destabilization, issue, which is, and then on the flip side, in Europe, we're seen as also like a destabilizer and also like an issue and also, so when push comes to shove, look what happened to I forgot his name, but like Kuwait, for example. There was this thing in the news about Kuwait taking away people's citizenships, right?
Yeah, Tariq Suwaidan.
But not just him. I think others. And like I don't know much about him, but look, I don't know much about that case. But like, you know what my mind went to? My mind went to, oh, he went on thinking Muslim. And he started talking about politics and some controversial stuff that you can say in Europe, but maybe you can't say in Kuwait or Saudi or UAE or whatever. And then when they got rid of his citizenship, I wondered if that had anything to do with it, like just those political statements or whatever it might be, or affiliations with I don't know, Muslim Brotherhood, whatever it is. But those kind of things. And look, even Muslim Brotherhood and Nahda and all these Islamist parties, if you want to call them that, a lot of them have many of their bases in Europe. Like a lot of the Nahda party, the Islamist party that was ruling over Tunisia, before, when they were ousted, they were all in England, right? Even like Sami Hamdi, I think his dad, Mustaqillah, he's a Tunisian journalist and he has this TV channel and it's all in Arabic, but he broadcasts from London. So all I'm saying is there is this view that exists in the Muslim world that European diaspora, especially the practicing ones, you just got to be a bit careful. And that's why I was stopped in many times when I went to Tunisia. And that's what the advice some of the police gave me was that we need to know what you're about, because you can come, like there's people that come with this certain like, oh yeah, I'm going to get on the street and protest this. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, by the way. I'm just saying the fact of the matter that. So you kind of have to find somewhere now before it's too late that you're going to become a part of, because I don't think we can be these floating entities forever. I don't think it's gonna, I don't think it's gonna work. Like you've got the issue of like, let's say hypothetically, war in Europe. I mean, there's Muslims in Ukraine. Where are they? They're in the front lines because they have to be. As you as a Muslim, would you feel more comfortable, like you, Amin, for example, if you were forced to, gun to the head? Would you fight for the United Kingdom or would you fight for Algeria? And but this is it. Like this is it. But that's part of the assimilation. Like there's talks now, rumblings about Russia and UK, and the UK needs to prepare for war. And like the comment sections, at least in my
military service,
the algorithm on my end is like, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. Of course, Abdullah isn't going to want to do that, and Fatima isn't going to want to do that. So where would you do it? Yes, you would say, okay,
bro. Jake and John wouldn't want to do that. They want to play Call of Duty
because they also feel like this is not their country. So what's the point? But ultimately, I'm just saying, long term, you got to find somewhere. This is the beautiful thing about you. What I see from you and what I expected was going to happen when you went is like, oh, my kids are going to have this just somewhere to call home and somewhere to exist in and make their mark on and be known in and have a reputation and connections and all the things that come with being part of a community and a society that you don't really get. Like I could be known in my local masjid, but my local masjid feels so transient and disjointed and so many different people from so many different cultures and people come and go. Like one day I just...
Or maybe you should fix your masjid instead of going to seek a second masjid.
But that what's the word? That assumes permanence in a society that doesn't feel very permanent right now. It doesn't feel like
I just had to slip that in,
you
innit?
could do. Could do. Maybe you could visit 4 masjids. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might be right, though. You might be right. Maybe
I
I'm
mean-
doing the grass is greener thing, but for communities instead. You,
No, I mean, I always have the policy that as much as we've spoken about leaving the West and stuff, and I obviously don't live there and stuff. As much as I talk about that, 100% there are situations where people should stay, and that would actually be better for their iman. Maybe not many people, but there are some. So it just depends, Yanni. I don't think, everything is, go speak. What's it? This is not Sharia advice. Go speak to your, local mufti,
my wife sent me
etc.
like a Muslim couple that got kicked out of Turkey recently. And she was like, "Oh, this is what
Okay.
sort of happened to Amin." And she said that this couple had like a massive business in Turkey, and they were given such short notice, and now they're like trying to fight their way back in, but they've got like warehouses and stock and all this stuff. And I was surprised, like even someone with real
Wow.
a foothold in the country and clearly got an established business. Well, their visa was denied, and they took. She was telling me. I don't know, obviously, I haven't watched it, but she was telling me like they had this really beautiful, massive house and really invested there, and the kids had also like basically invested their life into Turkey as opposed to it being a transient space, and even that was without that citizenship.
And the thing with that is I'm sure they can fight it, right? They can have a legal
Maybe, yeah.
case and they could perhaps win that legal case. But you know what? You're never going to feel the same way, are you? Even after you win it and
100%.
you get your whatever residency back, you're just not going to feel the
Yeah.
same way. So, subhanAllah. But, this is the dunya, Mashi Jannah. And, yeah. Should we wrap it up with, I just want to reply to that brother that not kept, but it was just a couple times. He wanted to know about something to do with reading. Let me pull it up. Was it like, how can he quit gaming and read more or something?
I only ever quit gaming successfully when I first started practicing, like for a year.
Okay.
To go from like being not just like I'm not like just interested in gaming. I'm like industry obsessed. Like I will read articles about the industry and financials and stuff like that, and I buy magazines and just read interviews and stuff like that. I'm more interested in the industry these days, but yeah, when I started practicing, it's like it just switched off. I think it's replacing it with a hobby, and I think that if it is reading, it's having to. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up. You've got an idea, so go for it. I'm gonna shut up. I want to listen to your views because I haven't cured it. So.
I think one thing about reading, is it's not that easy. Like, I think people just like take it for granted. Like, reading. Yeah, everybody can read, right? You're literate, right? I'm literate. We're all literate. But actually, that's not true. If people like remember back in school days, okay, I'm talking about when you were 9, 10, 11, there were always kids who would struggle to read and kids who were good at reading, right? Just whatever, through effort, through their parents' background, through how educated their parents are, whatever it is. A lot of the girls, I remember this obviously was in the 90s. Girls would love reading, but you find these girls at break time, they'll just sit on their own with a book. It's like, I just found that so weird. But yeah, there were loads of girls like that. I just see these little geek kind of girls that just read books. But I'm saying that because I, alhamdulillah, was blessed that my mom encouraged me a lot to read. My mom was like very good at English and reading and stuff, and she encouraged it. And that's why I never had issues with reading. I was very comfortable with reading. And sometimes people can even read, like they can read it out loud, but whether they fully understood it is another thing as well. That's another part of like the skill, okay? So, but I was like always pretty good at that stuff, right? So that is one element of it. Maybe you find it hard to read because you're not good at reading, because you got through school but you never quite realize, actually, I'm a little bit of a weak reader. I don't actually understand whatever that vocab or that sentence structures, blah, 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 right? So that's just one thing I wanted to mention, because I think we kind of forget that, bro. But I have clear images in my head, maybe because I went to like an international school, that it was very clear. There were kids who struggled to read. They literally couldn't read. Whether we're talking about in history, in geography, in science, they literally couldn't answer the question, not because they're bad at maths or science, but because they couldn't understand the question in the first place. They don't know what's being asked of them, you know? And those kids, they would struggle with the whole school. You know, then they start to misbehave, then they get in trouble, and then their whole, you know, and this is why, you know, homeschooling is safe. But anyway.
But the read...
I read a lot.
No, I was gonna say that the reading question is a bit broad though. Like reading what and reading for what purpose? You know, like because if you're reading, let's say, okay, what we assume Islamic knowledge, that's what you want to get into. I don't think you can make that jump so cleanly. I think you need to make a transition based on what your interests are. You know, let's say, what is it about video games that you love? Okay. Oh, I like this escapism. I like exploring. Then pick up a non-fiction book. Pick up a fiction book. Sorry, pick up a fiction book. Like okay, you like sci-fi games,
sci-fi, fantasy, adventure.
Honestly, like when I was engrossed into reading as a kid, it's because I picked up Harry Potter and I was like, oh, everybody loves Harry Potter. What's this? And it was like my first exposure to like a proper story, you know, in book form.
Yeah,
I was quite young back then when those books came out. And I remember like going to Tunisia for the 6-week holiday and just blasting through one of those big ones in like a week, right? And that, it means I was sat there with no choice but to read books. And then I read 5 books recently because I was trying to get back into reading, but I picked up some history stuff. Like I've got this book about Islamic Spain, and every time I try and I like to read a couple pages, I start falling asleep, and that's not because the book's bad. It's just I'm not.
Every time you pick up the book and try and get into it, you have another baby, and it just gets ruined.
Thanks, Amin. Thanks for reminding me. But dude, yeah, I read like this series, sci-fi kind of series, bro. I read all 5 of those books. I can't wait for the next one. And then it made me want to get into it more. And then you kind of transition. Now I'm reading. On the side, I'm reading Ibn Battuta's sort of biography, and I'm finding that really interesting because that's almost story-like. Because it was like this one guy, here's his quest. Oh, and by the way, it's real life. These are his accounts, you know. And then so history is a good one. Like if you're into that sci-fi escapism. Not just history in terms of like a broad, oh, this is Islamic Spain and this is what happened, but like pick a figure from history who had like, I don't know, Marco Polo or Ibn Battuta or whoever, and like read his story and what he went through. And that can then open your eyes like, oh, when he was in, I don't know, Egypt in this time, that was really interesting. What was Egypt like? Oh, here's another book about Egypt, a broader one, right? And then it's like a steady, he says, well, you know. Oh God, my headphones come off. But carry on.
No, I was going to say very much what you were saying in terms of, in order to get into reading, you have to want to read, right? And so just read something you enjoy. Read something that you like learning about or you're entertained by at the beginning, because the beginning is the hardest bit because you're not used to it. And let's be real, reading takes more effort than watching a video or listening to something or playing a video game, right? So just do the easiest level of reading, right? That's one thing. And the other thing is that I didn't read much after the age of, I want to say 10, 11. I didn't read much, right? I remember reading Harry Potter. That was like one of the few books I would like read at home and read like in my own kind of time and stuff. But then I didn't read much for that, probably a lot of secondary school. Then I started reading again later, maybe when I was 20 or something. And that was because I just got into this phase where it was like cool to like be intellectual, you know? So then I started reading Frantz Fanon and reading about this kind of stuff about history, a bit of sociology, a bit of, what else? These kind of topics, to be honest. Islamic books as well, because I started to get not into. I started to get into Islam in terms of like the knowledge side of Islam more when I was like maybe 18, 19. So I started reading naturally. My dad gave me a few books to to guide me in the right direction. And I read, some of these books are pretty simple. Like, although sometimes a bad translation puts you off, but these books a lot of people have read, like Al-Albani's book on the Prophet's Prayer, these kind of things. Bilal Phillips has some books on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got into it because it was a phase. You understand? Like, it wasn't like I want to read. It was like my friends around me, they were kind of reading. They were talking about this stuff that I like. I want to know more about that. So that's why I read. It's kind of out of curiosity and identity and just the phase I was in. Then later, when I was like maybe 24-ish, I started reading a lot of psychology and business and marketing books. And, I read tons of that, also personal development books. I read a lot of that, but it was all just for my own benefit. I was simply seeking benefit. I wasn't seeking reading. I did have, like the brother mentioned, I think, he understands that there's a big benefit of reading, right? He understands there's a benefit, but like a general benefit. But now you just need to couple that with what's the specific benefit. I used to read business books because I'm like, one day I would like to do business and I find this interesting. Or I used to read like marketing, deep psychology books because I'm like, this is fascinating. This actually stimulates me. You know what I mean? Like just how you get a buzz. You get a buzz from like playing the game, right? Finishing that level. The level's like it's the right mixture of challenge and ease, right? Or familiarity. I would have books like that where I'm every like few pages, you're like, whoa, that's interesting. Whoa. There's a book I remember called The Shallows about how like the neurology of your brain and how screens and using computers and reading on computer stuff affects your brain. I remember reading about that book. I was like, damn, this is next level. There was a bit about when they first started using clocks and watches in history, Yanni, and how that changed their whole perception of like life just by having clocks. I was like, whoa, that's deep. So in the end, it comes down to just what benefit do you get out of it? And if you see a clear benefit, you might have to force yourself through the first few books. I'm not going to lie, because it's more effort. But the way to get around that maybe is like what you said, Muhammad, which is like just read something enjoyable.
Dude, there's so much, like lots of video game series have books attached to them as well. Like Assassin's Creed, for example, has books. Mass Effect has books. I'm sure like Call of Duty probably has books.
Did Assassin's Creed books come first or second?
No, they were second. But like there are book forms of the games, but there's also like standalone books, I'm pretty sure. I remember seeing them in shops like, oh, Assassin's Creed. That must be interesting. Because the stories of those games were never really that fleshed out. But I always feel like the book version of any media is always better. The book versions of certain films I've seen are better than the film, hands down. And a lot of that is because you can't delve into the unless there's a monologue, you can't delve into the inner workings of a character in a movie. It's not like they're always talking to themselves. You just see their facial expressions, and the actor has to portray every, like a whole paragraph or a whole page of text of someone's inner thoughts. He has to portray it in just a facial expression. It's not enough. But in a book, you can like dig into that person's, like, oh, he was thinking this, but this is what he said, and this kind of thing. There's great stuff. And I think more so now is just the lack of time, and maybe the brothers struggling with time. Dude, with kids now and all this stuff, like, it's only now that I get some time to myself. So if I was to sit now on the couch and pick up a book, I'd fall asleep straight away. And it's not because the book's bad, it's because I'm smashed. So take advantage of the time you have, brother, if you've got it.
Yeah, I did most of my reading before I had kids, for sure. That's for sure. Also, I remember once there was a time where I was in the UK and my granddad was quite ill. And so my mum would often be at his house and I would be there helping sometimes. And I just used to have this thing where every few minutes that I had free, I remember Malcolm X's autobiography on my phone in like Kindle or PDF, whatever format. And it would just be in one page here, one page there. Bro, I finished the book in like one day, 2 days. It was like,
Absolutely. But you could go cold turkey as well in terms of the games, right?
Yeah.
You could just sell, like, honestly, if you're feeling motivated, because honestly, discipline and motivation are different things. But let's say you're having a very motivated like all save data, for example, it gets saved on the cloud these days. Like you're not losing all your progress or whatever. You can re-download everything if you ever buy it again. I went like a few years without PS5 because I sold it. And I did really well then. Like I put my stuff, put in it.
And then you came back and it's still PS5. What's up with that?
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's still kind of PS5. But,
What?
well, I sold it for like a year or two. I think it was 2 years. I didn't have anything. But yeah, I bought it.
No, but I mean, like, why haven't they brought out PS6?
Please don't say that.
Is the cycle very long?
It is now, I think. But no, I don't know, man. They're talking about it, and it's like, oh, don't do that to me. I feel obligated to engage in these things. But
Sorry.
But no, like I said, you're feeling in the moment like, oh, do you know what? I can always buy this stuff back. Even if you want to put the money to the side, don't spend it. Just put it in a pot. It's just creating that barrier of, oh, if I want to play games, I'm going to go out to the shop. I need to go and buy a console. I need to plug it in. I need to get the games again, download them. Yeah. Just set yourself I don't know. Or maybe you might live on your own. You live far away from your parents' house. Pack it up, put it in a box, shove it in their attic, come home. Oh, if I want to play games again, I've got to go all the way. Like, you've got to plan it out. When it's there in front of you and accessible, can't help it.
Exactly. Like, I kind of think about, the kids in Mauritania who like memorizing Quran all day in the tent in the middle of nowhere with that loaf, that wooden thing, and they have to write the ayat out. I'm like, these guys, yes, that takes next level concentration, etc., hard work. But if these guys had TikTok, I don't know, bro. I think they'd be cooked as well.
But their brains are wired to find dope.
I'm assuming they don't have
maybe.
TikTok
Their
and stuff.
Their brains are wired to get their dopamine hit from that. That's it.
Well, exactly. The most stimulating thing they have to do is that. I'm guessing, Annie. So that makes a big difference. If the most stimulating thing you have to do is read a book, then you're going to read a lot of books.
100%. There's your answer, buddy.
Yes.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, like I used to watch more than video games, like more recently, I would watch football, right? So I used to watch maybe one match a week, maybe 2 matches a week sometimes. But I would have like a year where I'd watch like that season. I would generally watch like weekly, right? Then I would just end up having a season where I don't watch anything, right? And I just realized at the end of that, like I might realize, oh, they won the Premier League or whatever. Oh, okay. Like, because I wasn't keeping up with it or anything. And I just realized, well, I didn't watch any of the matches this season, and I'm not worse off for it, And then that would just keep me going with not watching it, to be honest.
Yeah, when you break it down like that, you realize, oh, this isn't as deep as I thought it was. So,
yeah, you get like in a trance or something.
I just started my Formula One adventure, getting into that. Maybe it's a detrimental.
Yeah.
Maybe it is detrimental for me. I feel like it's a lot more manageable than football, because, like I said, the barometer did not even quiver when someone would show me like a Formula One car or like, talk to me about it. I don't care. I really don't care. Even though like I've got an appreciation for cars, definitely. But to say Formula One to me is like, oh.
Well, is there like weekly like stuff to follow in Formula One?
Yeah, so it's
not so much.
This is a complete rookie talking, but yeah, it's like every weekend for like most of the year. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The main race day is Sunday. And what is fascinating about it?
Wait, are you saying there's races every Sunday?
Every Sunday. It stops in December and it starts up again in March.
Yeah.
And every weekend they're in a different country.
Wait. So this is like, oh, no way.
So that's why it's like Australian Grand Prix,
Whoa.
Grand Prix, and then the Monaco, and then the whatever.
I just thought, without looking into it too much, that there would be like a race maybe like once a month, once every 2 months.
I had so many misconceptions, like I just didn't know. And then when it kind of like clicked and I was like, oh, this is actually amazing. And like I watched the YouTube video of MK, the guy, the tech guy.
Yeah, Marquez.
Yeah. And he did it was definitely a paid sponsorship, but he did he did a video on it explaining it. And I was like, oh, like there's like, it's almost like Robot Wars. You ever seen Robot Wars where they're like batting around? So these guys building this machine and they want it to be faster and whatever. And then there's like the element of the racer, the drivers of the the aggressive competition between them and also between teammates. You know, I was watching some races where like teammates were crashing into each other because they just would not let each other pass. Right. But then I thought, okay,
Whoa,
right,
okay.
how many teams are there? This is going to be like daunting because if you were telling me now to get into football, it's not happening. How many teams? How many players? How much history? I can't do it. I can't. It's too many names. But this was 10 teams, 20 drivers. Thought, okay, that's manageable. I could get my head around that. You know? And then, little things about, I thought the racing was a bit more complicated than it, you know, like when they go into a pit stop and all that stuff. I thought,
Yeah.
what's that about? Like, I didn't think that they actually lose time, as in they lose position. I thought they get like a pen, like the clock pauses, and then they compare all the times or something at the end of the race, something like that. No, they do lose time.
Yeah.
And then you do have to pit. Everyone has to pit at some point. And this.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone has to. So,
what point do they do, and what's the tactic that they're going to employ here? And
yes, yeah. So tell me, bro, this is a good way of, I think, breaking it down. What are the factors that influence your performance or your success?
So there's technically two. This is so bad that someone's going to test me on this because there's going to be listeners that are way more knowledgeable. Dude, I've only been following it for like a week, okay? But like, there's like two, as far as my understanding, there's like two competitions going along at one time. There's the drivers' championship and then the constructors. So the drivers is like the individual driver. Let's say me and you are on a team. I could rank, number one, for example. I get the most points throughout that whole championship. You would get far less. Let's say you were at the bottom. Then I would get a trophy, but you wouldn't get anything. But
really?
Because you haven't ranked like top 3 or top 3. But the constructors is our points added together. So what does the overall team get?
Okay. And constructors means the people, the engineers.
Yeah, so it's
basically.
more so like, okay, the team did great, not because the driver, both drivers did amazing. Is it because the drivers are amazing or because they've got the best car? So it's essentially a way of rewarding the whole team as opposed to just the driver.
And how different are these cars? Are they not just all, based on the same chassis?
So I think the FIA, which is like the regulatory body, set like rules, and they seem to change every year. Like I'm watching I just finished 2018 season. There's like a Netflix documentary, which is really dramatized, and it's really got me into it. It's like showing you every season and behind the scenes, all that stuff. I was like, oh my God, there's so much drama. I didn't know.
Yeah.
But like looking into that, it's like, certain teams are either manufacturers or just brands. So like you've got Mercedes, you've got Ferrari, you've got Audi are joining next season. They all manufacture cars and engines. But then you've got like your Red Bull, who in 2018 they were using a Renault engine, even though Renault's got a team on Ferrari, and that was a dynamic as well. So it's like, okay, so some teams just source parts, some teams make parts, and there's the only thing that I'm not getting just yet, even though I know, because I watched an F1 movie, and it delved into more of the making the car and the things they do to, make it faster. The documentary doesn't delve into that, and I'm assuming, at least not so far, I'm assuming because it's kind of like trade secrets, they're not going to like expose in a documentary, oh yeah, this is why our car's faster. But all I do know is that they're always trying to get that 10th of a second and that, half a second quicker, and shaving off. And then like if you do compare the cars, like I saw a video earlier of a F1 car 20 years ago to an F1 car today, and it's like, oh wow, they are crazy different looking. This one's like almost twice the size. So every year there's going to be these tweaks and going to be these adjustments. And like beforehand, I think it changed in 2021 maybe, but beforehand there was like you could spend an unlimited amount of money on your team. So you had there was like this team called Heist or whatever. They were skint. They basically didn't have any money compared to the other teams. They're up against like Mercedes, and no wonder they're always at the bottom of the pack. But now there's like a cap on how much you can spend, which is good. It levels the playing field.
Okay.
And then
financial fair
and it kind
play.
of like, you ever seen Star Wars and pod racing? Yeah. And it's like, I loved that when I watched the movie. I was like, oh my God, pod racing is amazing.
Yeah.
But I'd never appreciated that. We're kind of almost there. You know, we're almost there. If you get into this, you realize, oh, dude, this is like the sci-fi race thing I've always wanted. It's just I never really batted an eyelid when I saw it. And finally, last point, I was also under the impression that, like, you know, the crashes and the coming off of the track and all that. I for some reason I thought that was super rare and that rarely ever happened. Dude, it's like happens all the time. I didn't realize it happens all the time. Like someone's tire explodes and like someone's tumbling. So I was like, oh, this is like Mad Max Demolition Derby as well. Like this is great. So it's all of that, all of that. And it's like you said in the group chat, maybe watching it on TV is probably more exciting than watching it in person, you know, because in TV you get to see that every car's got the camera on it. Every car's got you can hear the mic, you know, you can hear what they're talking about, the commentator, everything. You're not going to miss a thing, and you can't miss a thing.
And you know all that background information about the car, the engineer, the drivers, all of that stuff. Bro, I attended 2 Formula One races, bro, and I was oblivious, bro. I was not paying any attention. All I know is that every time they came round, it was so loud. Not full
absolutely. Yeah, the movie I saw was that Brad Pitt one called F1, which is there was clearly a marketing push to kind of bring more people in, and I definitely saw that in the reviews. And a friend of mine told me, "Oh, this is great. You should watch it." And I was like, I like Brad Pitt, but I don't know about F1. And then I was like, oh. And then the Netflix shows, once again, because when I learned more about how they make money, this was another like, oh, we want to expand our audience, so we're going to do this Netflix documentary. That hooked me as well. Like, I'm one of the guys. I'm the result of their marketing. You know, they did this new marketing push, and I'm like, hold my hands up. Yep, that's me. You got me.
You're lapping it up.
You got me. So yeah, I think it's great. I think it's amazing. A bit frivolous, a bit
interesting,
maybe spendthrift, you know, millions and millions, like this car just exploded. Oh, well, there's 500 million down the drain or whatever, however much it costs.
Wow.
You know? So it's a bit like, oh.
Is there one in Saudi now?
There's one in Abu Dhabi. Is there one in Saudi? I don't know. Like I said, I'm still in, so I'm watching this documentary to try and catch up with what happened. I'm on 2019 now. I don't know if 2025 has, you know, even been uploaded, but the next season, 2026, starts in March. So I'm trying to like get the history up, and then by March, and like my wife's getting involved as well. By the way, my brother-in-law and my sister, they're like, because my brother-in-law was into it first. My sister didn't know anything about it, but when she got married a few years ago, that's when she got really into it. And now, like, me and my sister got something to talk about as well. Like, I was texting her, like, hey, I'm getting into this thing. Can you tell your husband to, you know, hook me up with some knowledge? And she goes, don't worry about him. I'm into it. Like so she was giving me all the info, bro. And now my wife's watching the documentary with me as well. So like, it's becoming a family affair very quickly. So yeah, man.
It's quite an elitist thing, isn't it, bro?
Yeah.
It's not like the humble beginnings of football throwing a pig's bladder through mud.
Yeah, well, this is it. And I went to, it wasn't an F1 thing. It was something similar, but it was in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or something. I can't remember. In 2008 when I was there. And it was like my cousin's dad, my uncle, I guess, but, you know, my auntie's husband. He's like a big... He was I don't know. He's into business marketing, all this stuff, you know, CEO, corporate meetings, that kind of thing. And he took us once. Just, I guess he had tickets, and it very much felt like I was 14, but it very much felt like a networking event. And there happens to be fast cars outside that window, but
yeah, exactly. Well, the way, because I worked at the first and the second Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi, and so it was like the first one they ever did. And the way they designed it was next level. So they designed it so it's on an island in Abu Dhabi called Yas Island. And there's a marina right next to the track. So you could be on your yacht and like see the cars go by, you know. And they built this very fancy hotel that has this kind of bridge. Part of the hotel is like a bridge thing that goes right over the track as well. So it was extremely fancy. And but because it was like the first year, maybe it's still like this now. But I remember they were just giving out tickets, but they wouldn't, like, to save face, they wouldn't like just hand them out randomly in the street. They would go to companies and would say, here, look, here's like 100 tickets for your employees. Here's 100. And like all government employees would get tickets. And even then it was like quiet, right? It wasn't full or anything. I also remember, bro, this is how much cash they spent on it. They did, so that how many days is it? Is it like 3 days
a week?
or something?
Yeah.
No, the race.
Yeah, I think it's 3. So it's, I don't know if there's like an audience for the first one, but there's like basically the practice day, which is a Friday.
Yeah.
Friday's a practice. So that one's just testing out the track, testing out the car, etc. Saturday's a qualifying day.
Yeah.
So that is a race or a timed lap you do to secure which position you're going to start at on race day, which is Sunday. So like, are you going to be at the back of the line? Are you going to be at the front? Are you going to be in pole position immediately? Because you could, if you've got a decent car and you're starting at pole position, you essentially control the race for everyone else, more or less. And then Sunday is the actual, okay, this is the race day. What position you get here is the one that's going to get you the points.
Got you. So what they did in Abu Dhabi for this first one, I think they did it for the second as well, is every night they had a concert. And the concert was like free if you had a ticket to the race. And the tickets, by the way, were about £500-600, I believe, for the cheapest one. But like I said, people had free, like there were a lot of free tickets available. So who did they bring for the flipping concerts though? I remember they brought, what's her name? Beyonce, I believe. Right. They brought Rihanna. They brought like the biggest people they could bring. This was like 2000 and maybe 10. So those were like, I think they were at their peak at that time. So how much do you pay for a concert? I'm not sure. Maybe £50, £100, maybe £200. I'm not sure really. But so you just got that included though in your ticket, like just to like, I guess, you know how UAE do it. They got to do.
It's like, I mean, I look at the Monaco one. It's something similar, and I think what fascinates me is the dichotomy between this kind of intense, almost like nonchalant dunya aspect of it, of people that are going that probably don't even, most of them don't really care about F1 or the cars. And then it's like you've got all this surround and all this marketing and all this networking and all this money, and then like behind all of that, or in the middle of all of that, you've got like real competition, like real driven individuals that are like in this machine, and they don't care about any of the branding that's going on. All they want to do is compete and get them, you know what I mean? And it's like this dichotomy, because like some of the drivers, at least when you see them, and the impression I get is like they haven't mentioned the money or the glitz and glam or the fame. Some of them obviously do, and you can see they lean into that, but there's some that just seem so driven, and they're like, this is all they want to do is get past the time. All they want, like, that's what they care about, and everything else is a distraction. And looking at like the way it's shot, like 1 minute you're this guy's like training and getting, and then next minute it's like showing yachts and all this stuff, and it's like it's just, it shows you like you could be in a space of craziness, but actually have a completely different mission on your mind.
Well, now that I know that it's like every week, pretty much, my whole perception of it has changed. Like that is flipping hardcore, bro. That's hardcore for the drivers, Yanni. That requires a lot of physical condition.
And that's the thing. It's like a world tour. It's like I said to my wife, kind of like a World Cup every year, but the World Cup, every country comes to you, but this one, you're going to every country. And just that aspect of it, especially if you're following it, I was like, whoa, that's so...
Traveling weeks by week.
Dude, I would have loved to be an F1 team. Don't make me do anything complicated. Just let me tag along.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Anyway, I'm sure some real fans will get involved. Well, nothing. There wasn't really anyone that piped up in the Mind Heist group chat when I mentioned it, but
maybe they just weren't in the chat. Go. You can find the link in the description.
Yes.
And I think we'll end it there, man. Jazakallah khair. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.
السلام ورحمه الله وبركاته.